So we start the butternut fly with a size 12 hook and an oversized bead, and we're going to tie into just back behind the point. Then we're going to align the tips of some squirrel tail hair, and we're going to tie that in behind the point. We're going to check that we have the right length. We're going to pull it in a little bit if we have to. Then I hold the squirrel hair up, wrap up the shank of the hook, and then I tie in back there, locking it in, tying it back, and creating an even underbody. Then we're going to trim the squirrel hair. And the reason I like locking it in like this is I have more wraps along more of the hair, plus it gives me a nice, smooth, even underbody. I'm going to be building a very tapered body here, so having that smooth underbody helps. Next, we're going to take some gold tinsel or gold wire, and we're going to tie that in. I'm using tinsel, as you can tell by the struggle I'm having with it. Now, I can't seem to fold it back, so one quick little tip here is using the thread like that to pull it back and lock in that tinsel. Now, once I have that tinsel locked in, I'm going to actually tie back beyond where I originally tied in the squirrel hair. Now, the reason for this is I can make much more neat and controlled wraps, and I'm going to get that hair aligned the way I want it to be. Next, we're going to begin dubbing the body, and I start that by waxing my thread. You just need a light coat of wax. And I like using Rabbitron Dubbing, which is a blended mix of rabbit dubbing and antron yarn. It has a little bit of sparkle to it, and it's also a really shaggy, buggy looking dubbing. Now, my goal, like I said before, is to create a tapered body. So I'm going to start the dubbing a little bit tighter on the thread. And I actually do this in 2 stages. Having less dubbing out on less thread, for me, is a lot easier to manage and handle. Once the body's dubbed, I put in a 1/2 hitch and bring around my bobbin cradle. I'm using the rotary feature of the vise to lay down 5 to 8 wraps of that tinsel, and I'm also counter ribbing, and that's more out of habit than anything else. I tie in the hen hackle facing down. And I begin wrapping it backwards. And with every wrap, I make sure that I stroke those fibers back. You really want to have a swept back hackle look here. And one thing you'll notice is that this feather isn't exactly the prettiest of feathers. It has some imperfections in the colors, and that is going to give you a little more of a modeled, natural look. Now we're going to take about 3 wraps with this hackle, and every wrap I'm going to be sweeping those hackle fibers back. Then I'm going to gather as many of the fibers as I can, tie in that stem, and then slowly work my way back with that thread, catching as many of those fibers as I can, really accentuating that swept back hackle look. Then we're going to finish the fly by dubbing a head. And again, I'm using this Rabbitron dubbing, and I'm using it in a natural color, or a natural rabbit color. And I'm just building up a head that finishes off the taper of that body. We're going to tie off with a couple 1/2 hitches, only because I can't find my whip finish tool. And to finish it up, I use some Velcro to sweep everything back and pull out a couple extra fibers in the head to really give it that shaggy fly look. Just exactly what you want in a fly like this. It's a buggy looking fly that can represent just about anything. And that's how you tie the butternut fly.